Firstly, introduce myself. My name is Martina Early. I'm the CEO of Roscommon Leader Partnership. Thank you for joining us today here in Trinity Arts. It's a 200-year-old Church of Ireland here in the west of Ireland, a centre for culture and arts. It's great to be back, to being able to host these events. And I'd like to give a big welcome to all our invited guests, those who are here and present, and also the great attendance we have online today. You're all very welcome. The aim of today's event is to provide you with essential insights into EU-funded resources for communities and businesses developed through the Erasmus programme. Today's event is hosted by ourselves, Roscommon Leader Partnership, and our partners, Momentum Consulting. Momentum are our strategic partners of ours at a local and European level, who work locally with many groups, businesses throughout Ireland and Europe in the design and delivery of innovative projects and game-changing initiatives for education, economic and community development, and many more. You will hear a lot more about Momentum Consulting today. Roscommon Leader Partnership, the company I represent, is the local development company for County Roscommon. We deliver the social inclusion community activation programme, and we tackle disadvantage and support people into education and training, working in partnership with agencies and communities. We're also deliver the refugee resettlement programme, deliver the Iraq childcare provision programme. We deliver the youth service in the county with Feroga, with a focus on disadvantaged youth. We're passionate about community education, and we have 2 local training initiatives that we run in Boyle and Ballahadreen. It continues to be a privilege of mine and our team to work with new communities who are refugees, migrants, young people and adult learners to realise their own personal ambitions in accessing education, training, employment opportunities, and then to realise their ambitions of becoming professionals, setting up businesses, getting back into education, being able to support their families and live their best lives possible. And today is all about hearing from those people who have achieved this. So I'd just like to give you a kind of a good global context in terms of migrants. In 2020, there was 281 million migrants in the world, 3.6% of the population. It's a growing trend. In 1990, there was only 128 million, and since 1970, that has been a 3-fold increase. So there's huge challenges in terms of this, but there's also opportunities. So in terms of identifying the challenges, opportunities, I reference research done by Kohler and Schneider, who identified the factors that hindered and helped the success of education opportunities in terms of migrants' youth. And from my work on the ground in local development, I can say that these same very factors are at play for young people and adult learners in my region. So across the EU, it's an ongoing challenge providing decent opportunities for education for the newly arriving refugees and migrants into mainstream education. And that has been a big infold increase since 2015. Vocational educational training is the most proven effective tool to facilitate access to stable and reasonably paid jobs, particularly when it's backed up by company-based real-life work examples. It's also about lifelong learning, and the perceived discrimination also is a big, strong negative predicator for becoming disengaged. But we need to counteract this, and we can. by having inclusive responses that involves the end user at the beginning, is based on their needs, is delivered in their community setting. And today we are demonstrating how that can be done effectively. For me, early intervention is key, and bringing in the new communities and teaching the young children in early intervention is key. They then don't need support in terms of language. Also, the parents get involved in the whole educational system. So school segregation is a no-no, and I suppose access to education, information on rights and benefit support at the local level is key. Sustainable employment is the best route out of poverty. So that is backed up then, needed by education, and the urgent action is needed to create an inclusive digital future. This is a huge emerging issue, the digital divide. And so many sections of our population, because of lack of skills, lack of access to broadband, lack of money, are eliminated in terms of digital. So we talk about solutions today, about how we can overcome that. And they're the challenges that I have identified today and which our speakers will talk about. I'm looking forward to learning from our inspirational speakers, finding out about the solutions they have developed, which are being showcased today, and which will address the issues and challenges facing our migrant, refugee, young people, and adult learner community. I would now like to introduce Sonia, who is going to tell us about Migrant Community Mediators project. After her presentation, she will lead a panel discussion with local guest speakers who are very engaged in providing support on the ground in our region. So I'd now like to introduce Sonia, who's joining us online, and ask Richard and Linda to come up here. Thank you.
Hi everyone, just a little nod or a sign if you can hear me, I hope you can. To Richard and Linda, I'll just have a 5-minute chat with myself first, if that's okay. Okay, nice to see your faces, even if we have to wear masks when we're with each other. So if I can get a thumb up from Linda or Richard, you can hear me, lovely. So sorry, I'll have to leave you standing there just for a few minutes to introduce myself and a little bit of intro about the project that we are most excited about in the first half of the day. And then we'll have our lovely chat the way we planned. Just a brief introduction. My name is Sonia Ivandic. For all of those who haven't, if we haven't had a chance to work together or to meet each other, I'm sure there will be plenty of opportunities. I'm sorry that I'm not able to be there with you today physically, but someone has to hold ties to this online space, and we're kind of all modern and cool with making this event, blended event. So that's a nice way of doing things and showing how we're flexible with all of these projects. As Martina said, there's plenty there that's being done on the national level in Ireland and local levels, agencies such as ours, and plenty there to be proud of. And one of the things to be proud of is the project that I would like to present to you now, and we'll have a chat about it. I'll share the screen. I might as well share the whole screen because we'll be switching through some things here as we talk. Now, I hope you can see the lovely visual of the project that's called Migrant Community Mediators. And we'll just have a really effective little session just before we start talking about this project. You can already hint what this is all about. I can't see the crowd at the moment, but I will trust you that you will do now as I tell you to do. So a bit of an unusual thing, Richard and Linda, if this will make you fall because you're not sitting down, you don't have to do that, but be my eyes and ears there and just give me a thumbs up if everyone's doing this. So if I can ask everyone in the crowd So please close your eyes. You have to trust me a little bit. This is nothing dangerous, and it's not one of those mindfulness things, I promise, although that's lovely as well, but I'm not going to do any of those things. So just close your eyes. I want to take you to a certain place. Now, if you have done so, please imagine yourself, even if you can't imagine the place maybe, but let's say you're currently in Croatia, the country of Croatia. It's not a big country, but it's pretty. And please now, if you have a pocket, great. If you don't have a pocket, imagine you have it with your left hand. Reach, just tap your left pocket. And imagine you have a wallet there. And in your wallet, there's some money, but it's a limited amount of money. So let's say you have 500 euro in your left pocket. Now I'm doing the same thing here myself. Now to your right pocket, over there you can find, as expected, your phone. It's a nice phone and you have some contacts in your phone, but there's not one contact in that phone of a person that comes from Croatia, that lives in Croatia. Welcome to the new members. We're just doing some scary things here. Just follow along. Okay, so keep your eyes closed. So now just imagine that you are in a situation where you have until the end of this month to sort some pretty big things for yourself, okay? So it's either you have to find housing or you have to find a job, because that 500 euro is all you have and it won't last forever. And you have to sort big things, maybe both of those things, and maybe more. Maybe you need childcare that needs sorting. So existential problems really. And what you need to do next is you need to make a plan. And obviously, at some stage now, you'll need to ask for help where you're in the country where you are at the moment because of some circumstances that happened to you. So you'll have to ask for help in Croatian. And I bet you can't say a word in Croatian, really. And I don't want you to solve this problem now. I'll just give you uncomfortable 5 seconds to rest in these thoughts, in that situation. So you can open your eyes. I'm saving you from this pain now. I'm not giving straight away a solution for these problems, but I'm hoping that all of us, we've all been able now for 5 seconds or so to put ourselves in the shoes of those who are even now in these kind of situations. Those would be very often migrants, even though there's all sorts of migration happening. We don't know which situation someone belongs to. So new community members, refugees, even worse situations. It's just a good thought and good empathy-evoking exercise to do just before we immerse ourselves into these topics. Obviously, because we are here today, we're all interested in these kind of topics. And we all know, as Martina said, that migration is happening and it's going to happen even more often in larger numbers. And our communities are changing and people of different backgrounds and cultures are coming together and they're being in the mutual situations unfamiliar to them. And it's good to think about these things and have plans. And that's why in Momentum, we like our name, it's Educate and Innovate. So we work on these projects where we have a chance to educate ourselves and others and to innovate and find innovative solutions. And we as host communities, or myself, I'm kind of a new community member, all of us have a mutual responsibility to ensure that the rights of refugees and migrants and new community members are respected and that everything goes well in this process of inclusion and integration. The Migrant Community Mediator project is one of those projects that's helping to ensure that. Just a little fact, and I won't even burden anyone with the numbers, but refugees, asylum seekers, and migrants have been identified as members of population that suffer a lot of more often from post-traumatic disorder, and even so that they can't even get this diagnosed because their trauma and their stress is still ongoing, so they haven't gotten to that post stage. So something needs to be done. That's where mediation comes in. So I like this quote: the mediator between head and hands must be heart. It's a good place to start any project, especially this kind of project, from a good philosophy. We must understand the needs of the people, and we must come to solving these problems with our open heart. Before we define what mediation is and what the community mediator is, I'll just stall you a little bit longer, and I'm sure by the second slide, you'll already know what I'm putting in front of you here. I took some screenshots, and on purpose I did it just enough so you can hint what's happening here. So on these two slides, you already are probably recognizing these are Facebook groups. All of these Facebook groups are from new coming populations in Ireland, or people who are interested or know and expect that they're going to find themselves in Ireland, and they need information. So there's plenty of these groups: Colombians in Ireland, Croatians such as myself in Ireland, Brazilian people, Spanish people, Chinese, Sligo Indian, for example, even on a local level, Sligo Indians. And there's a lot of members, if you notice, thousands of members, meaning thousands of people reach out to the people that have been through the similar situations as themselves. And they reach out for help, for information, for guidance, and that's what they get. And kind of spontaneously, people are hinting the best way to approach inclusion sometimes, which is peer-to-peer support. And that's exactly the logic behind the Migrant Community Mediators project, because it's evident that there are new strategies required to help and support and improve the lives of the newcomers and make the communities really strive and strive towards a better future together. So that's the two key strategies that are emerging for this area of inclusion, and it's community mediation and active inclusion, which means that every citizen must be engaged and that everyone needs to participate. So it's not just talking the talk and bringing policies together, which is necessary as well, but this is an active participation at the level of each individual, and then their families, and then their communities, and then whole regions and nations. So who is a mediator finally? Well, it's someone who acts as an arbitrator, negotiator, conciliator, did I pronounce that right? Go-between, intermediary, and more. So what else? That's someone who's a friend. And there was a nice service happening in family resource centers across Ireland, and I think it's still active. It's called befriending. So what else is mediation if it's not becoming a friend, befriending, reaching out to one another? Migrant Community Mediator, in terms of this project, is exactly that. It's befriending, it's peer-to-peer support. So having explained all these needs and the background of the project, I would like to give you the good news that the Migrant Community Mediator project is there for all of you who are interested in this kind of work, in helping out our communities to grow together and be happy together. Who we are in the project is we are bunch of partners, experts coming from different countries across EU. So there's obviously Ireland, but then there's Sweden, United Kingdom, France, and the Netherlands. And this is an Erasmus Plus program. Within this project, we have developed resources that all of you interested in this kind of work and contributing can use. So to sum them up, there are resources there to help for example, social workers and intercultural workers to straight away implement mediation and understand what conflict resolution is, even when the conflict is not the fight or the struggle, when it's non-formal, when the conflict can just be a question that's being asked. So the practical guide really does that, and I'll show you the guide in a second. Just a quick overview. And then there's a guide for creation of regional alliances in this field. That means that we will give all of you resources to empower all those interested in migrant community mediation to network together, to make something sustainable, to enable sustainable clubs and communities around this subject. And finally, there are open education resources that all of you as adult educators can use to deliver to the new community members in your communities. So I'll just open the project website, and I'll just look at Linda and Richard there again to see if you're okay standing, and can you see the website? Thumbs up, yeah, lovely. So I know that you're interested now in this project, and I know that you want to remember or come to us with a question or write down the website. So it's www.mcmproject.eu. And I just want to, like a good host, take you through the website. You can kind of affirm everything I said and read about us and the project and the project partners. But what I really want you to take a look today is this resources section. And as you can see, we are translating our resources if you need to give it to someone who speaks French or Swedish, or we are always trying to make these resources as transferable as possible. But for now, I'm sure you'll use it in English. So if you go to the practical community guide, you'll notice that you can straight away look through it and see what it holds for you. And you can download it. So please do, because this is something every organization and everyone who knows anyone who practices inclusion in the community, everyone should have this on their computers. It's full of resources. Even if we just use it like this in the website, there are hints of what's in it here. So from defining conflict, that's something not as strong as the conflict that we have imagined in our heads. Conflict for someone can be a problem that they're solving, to understanding the whole context and how to prevent any conflicts from becoming, how to prevent people from not understanding each other and bring them to the place where they understand each other, and how to be a good mediator, whoever you are. Even if you're not a migrant, you can still be a mediator and bridge these gaps in information, approaches, and so on. The guide for creation of alliance, I'm sure you will feel a little bit of inspiration to help build the alliances and help build networks around migrant community mediation. So this is your how-to guide, and you would go to this and literally follow it step by step, so you can begin forming something that actually has the shape of an alliance, and that brings people together, organizations together. And these are your steps, roughly, defining your work and your objectives and getting started and analyzing the situation, planning, and how to publish about it and share information about it, and how to make it sustainable. And finally, I'm almost done with this part. And finally, we have the open education resources with their 5 modules. So all of you adult educators would take these along with the teacher's guide that we have to help you in using these resources. So you would be able to take these modules, adapt them as it suits you, and lead your students, adult learners, from the introduction to what the migrant community mediation is, to what the leadership is and what advocacy skills they need to have, to how to sparkle the change in their communities, how to communicate, and how to fetch resources for their cause. And then please feel free to click in each of those resources, each of those modules, and to download them for yourself and to use them as you see fit, because you can present these or you can print these or use them whichever way. I'll stop sharing the screen for the moment. And I would like to thank you for paying close attention to the exercise. And the natural thing we would like to do at this point is have a little chat to make things dynamic and to see what's happening right there in your community. And we, believe it or not, even before we started this project, we could identify many examples of good migrant community mediation happening, and some of good local organizations facilitating these things. So Richard Reagan is the first person I would like to chat to about this. I'm not sure if I'll hear you, Richard. I think I will. But I want to tell you that citizens information centers, from my perspective, and you are representing one today, are the first stop for many migrants, not just migrants, the host community members, citizens as well. But when migrants come into Ireland, that's the first thing they do. They go to the Citizens Information Centre. And these centres didn't know this was going to happen, and yet they adopted really well. So thank you for having this chat with us today. I would like to ask if you can tell us a little bit about the Citizens Information Centres and how are they helping advocacy and self-advocacy for those marginalized groups of our society.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity today to actually come in and give us more presentation of what we do and answer any questions that you have. I suppose the important thing is to say who we are and why we're here. It's very important that basically most organizations have a mission statement. And it's very important that those people look at those mission statements and look at the words. Words are very important and what they mean and what the actions behind them. I'll give you our mission statement. I'll read it from the notes here. It is our mission to provide all individuals with easy access to the highest quality, free, independent and accurate information, advice, assistance and advocacy on their civil and social rights and entitlements, on their civic duties, and of all the social services that exist in a clear, comprehensive manner and in confidence. That is our mission statement. That's what we do. But the important thing is, it's not what you say on the tin, it's how you do it. And the important thing for us is that we provide a quality service to everybody. It's free, confidential, impartial, non-judgmental, independent and non-directive. And there's another very important thing, we will respect your dignity and diversity. That's the core principles of our belief. And it goes further than that. It's not just about information, it's about empowerment. We'll empower you to exercise your rights and entitlements and responsibilities in a professional, accessible and sensitive manner. So we will are set there to respond to the needs. I suppose it's important that you say, well, who funds you? Are you independent? We are independent. We're funded by an organisation called the Citizens Information Board. We've actually been around since the 1970s. And the important thing about our service is that it actually started off as voluntary, all volunteers, no pay, volunteer information providers, volunteer receptions and volunteer boards. And we've evolved over the years. Now we do have paid staff, and we do have we provide a professional advocacy service now, but the core ethos was volunteer. What can we give back to our community? And we, as I said, we've been there since the 1970s, and we're actually at the moment we have about 268 locations around the country. However, with COVID, of course, we've had to restrict our number of centres. The Citizens Information Board funds us, and there's 3 ways people can access our service. Through our Citizens Information website, which is an internationally has received European awards for its content. The Citizens Information website, we also have a Citizens Information phone service that people can access. And we have also the face-to-face drop-in centres. And what we find is that migrant workers, EU nationals, people who are new to coming to Ireland, they prefer face-to-face services. And the sooner we get back to those with the COVID restrictions, the better. Because it's as good as Zoom is, people want the face-to-face contact. And that's what we're there to make sure we provide. So, I mean, can I maybe just say what we do regarding advocacy?
Well, yeah, Richard, so it's obvious that you are mediators, but by everything you've said now, becoming a range of centers from the volunteer position, from a citizens initiative, and then growing to that stage, but you are obviously mediators coming from the communities. And now it seems like the full circle has happened, because now you are empowering those who are marginalized to become self-advocates themselves. And we, from the perspective of this project, see self-advocates as mediators as well. So for us, we see the full circle happening there. I just wanted to ask you, how are you empowering them to become self-advocates, and how is that working out for you? What's the reception that you're getting?
Okay, yeah, that's actually interesting, because we actually, Martina mentioned it earlier on, one of the most important things is education and community education. Martina mentioned that earlier in the introduction. We feel that one of the best things, if you give people the information, give them the tools and give them the support, they will be able to do the job themselves.
Teach them to fish. Sorry.
Yes. And give them a fish, they have a supper. Yes. But give them a rod, they can feed themselves. Yes. We do community education programs. We go out to the community. We support them in delivering information so they can empower themselves. And now, I suppose the important thing is we do provide a professional advocacy service. The most important thing, as I said, is that we establish people's basic rights, first of all. I mean, you need a roof, you need a home, you need food, you need warmth, you need those things before you can do anything. So those are the basic principles. You have those things first. And regarding support, we actually would have in our network, we'd have volunteers who are from East European countries who do interpreting services for us. We have a growing number of staff employed from EU countries who actually have started off as volunteering and stayed with us, were trained. We have a training program that for our volunteers who is called IPAP, Information Practice and Advocacy Program. It's a 2-year full award, and we actually pay for that and put volunteers through that course so they can actually become advocates. Now that could be volunteers or our paid staff.
Well, what I hear as well as someone who's now completely deep into these topics and looking everything through the perspective of this project is that example of citizen information centers in Ireland is pretty much unique, but it's also the proof that this model works. Now, this topic of ours is specific to new community members, but you have proven that mediation amongst citizens and allowing that sort of mediation to grow can really succeed, because you have started it as a volunteer initiative and now you've grown to be this official thing. One other thing I wanted to ask you, and then we can conclude it, because I call it a success now after what you've told me. Would you see yourselves as someone who's working with migrants, and in a way you're also educators and you're developing self-advocacy? Would you see yourselves using these resources? Would you find them useful? Could you recommend it? And I'm just also using this little conversation as a testing tool for the resources.
For your resources, absolutely. When I looked at that, it's actually very, very impressive resources there that we could all bring back. I'd like to say one important thing. No organisation has sole responsibility. We need to work together regionally as groups and teams, because no one has the answers for everything. The Citizens Information Service has a range of all the answers you probably need in information, advice and advocacy. But there are other agencies that we all should work together to promote the information to actually get out there. Can I just make just one thing that's important? I think it's important for where we are today. In 2019, we had 42,247 queries, that's callers, sorry. With COVID, that has gone down to about 30,000. But however, about 13% of all our clients are non-EU nationals or EU nationals. That's a significant number, and it's a growing number. So it's very important that we make sure the services are accessible for them, and not just accessible, make sure they can participate, so they can become employed and they can become volunteers as well.
That's perfect. I would leave that and can take a note of that. And I think I'm even inspired for a blog post on this for the project. But what you said also earlier, that another service needs to come in and all of you working together makes sense. That's why I want to now kind of switch to Linda. This is the perfect time. Thanks so much, Richard.
Okay.
So social services and information services working together. Linda, is it Divine or Devine? Okay. From the Family Resource Centre. Family Resource Centres in Ireland also do inclusion work. And I just wanted to ask you to give us that example where the user of your services actually became the mediator because of the situation that happened, if that's okay.
So the story is we would have a lady that arrived at our door one day and she was in a very abusive relationship. And so we helped her support her house. She got her social welfare payment, and now she's helping other people in the community. So it was just to show how somebody from, in total control, that within a year she can be out standing on her own 2 feet and supporting other people in the community. Now, another example of that is we would have a lady that came to us during COVID, and it was a very sad situation because it was an arranged marriage. She was married at 16, so she didn't have any choice in it. So I think for ladies like that can come out, tell their story, show that it doesn't. Now, not all situations are bad, but some ladies are in very, very difficult situations. But that if they can, we'll say, be supported to leave their husbands with the support of, we'll say, some of the other ladies that have been through it. And then the importance of education along the way as well.
That's 2 different examples and very lovely examples from the perspective of social work, Family Resource Centre work with Migrant, and then Citizens Information Centre. I'm sorry, I will wrap it up a little bit quicker and sooner than we thought. Just the time schedule is kind of running short on us. Thank you so much. I would like to encourage anyone, if they have direct questions here, to write in the chat. Thank you for these lovely examples, and I think we will include these lovely examples to even expand on what the project has to offer and to include them in our content, in our blog posts on the project website. So it's all for learning purposes and showing other countries how good examples in Ireland can help them practice mediation. Thank you so much both. Okay, I'm not sure now, thanks, who takes over and if it's going to wait. I think according to the schedule, it is okay.